Good morning. I'll wait till everybody gets here before I pop it over. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Mm, mm, mm. Anybody else drink Coke Zero? Or is it just me? Good morning. Good morning. It's supposed to be not so hot today, but I burn up. So I've gotten where in the summer I cannot wear a sleeve. You know how if you're my age or older, you're gonna get me. But you know how you start like everything, like skin wise, everything starts going south. You know what I mean? Like your butt starts hanging, your boobs are hanging, your skin is hanging, everything's hanging. And I've gotten to the point where you know how when you get older, you're like sometimes you're not totally comfortable wearing shorts unless they're almost to your knees. I'm there. I'm that girl now. So I I'm not comfortable wearing shorts. So I end up wearing overalls all summer long and I'm hot as fire. And so I find myself, if I wear a hat or I wear a shirt with sleeves, like just a short sleeve shirt, I am I feel like I'm going to pass out. I'm so hot. It gets hot in Alabama. So I'm trying to find shirts that are sleeveless because I cannot handle the heat. I cannot. Is that a sign of old age? I don't know. I cannot. I can't handle the cold and I can't handle the heat. And so I feel like um that's a sign that I'm getting older. But I'm just not comfortable wearing shorts unless they're all the way to my knees. I can remember when I went to Christian school in 5th and 6th grade, and we had to wear, they called them culottes. You couldn't wear shorts. You had to wear these culottes. And I can remember being mortified because I had to wear culottes because they were not cute at all. And now I'm like, I would love to have a pair of culottes. You know what I'm saying? Do y'all know what culottes are? I'm just too hot. So my hairdresser taught me to twist my hair, like when I want to wear it to the side, how to twist my hair because my hair's different lengths. I don't know if this is going to work or not. We're going to try it. All right, there's several things that I want to talk about today. First being getting to acceptance with things. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like when you sit and worry and you spin out of control trying to figure out how to fix something. And then you realize, I don't think I can fix this. I don't think I can fix this. And for myself, I don't know if I can do this. For myself, when there's something going on that I can't fix, it takes me forever to get to acceptance because I cannot accept something that I cannot control. It's just I guess I'm just such a fighter, and I'm such a I feel like I can fix it. You know what I'm saying? And I will sit and fight and try to figure out how to fix it, or especially when it's someone that I'm trying to fix, like my children or Larry. I'm trying to fix them, and I, oh oh Lord, I'm trying to fix them, and I can't. I've tried preaching. I've tried getting mad. I've tried, the cheerleader approach. I've tried all these different approaches and it just doesn't work. And I can't get to acceptance, like to accept the fact that I can't fix this. And sometimes it takes me forever to figure out how to get to acceptance where I'm like, okay, I need to accept that no matter what I do, I cannot fix this. And it drives me insane because I I, I feel like I'm not there. I feel like I can figure out anything. I can figure out how to fix anything. And when it comes to trying to fix other people or trying to get them to understand, especially when it comes to like mental health, you know, I and you would I need to pull it down some. I drive myself crazy trying to fix. And you would think you would think, oh, Aunt Judy doesn't try to fix other people. All she does is fix herself because all she does is get on live and she gets her little preaching stick and she talks to us about the only thing we can control is ourselves. And Aunt Judy's got this all figured out. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I have not got it figured out, which is the reason I talk about it on my live because I don't have it figured out. Well, first of all, let me say this. Because some people are concerned that some people are concerned about when I talk about Larry. Some people are concerned, can Larry, oh my gosh, I can't believe she's saying this. And Larry, because Larry might show up on my live. First of all, he don't get up till late, but he is deaf. He cannot hear. So he can't hear what I'm saying. He can read comments, but he is now on Kayla's page. Kayla's backup dance, Sneed's Farmhouse backup dancers page. And I thought about what people have said to me. They're like, you're hurting his feelings or you're embarrassing him and I can see where people are saying that. So I'm trying to be mindful that like Sneed's Farmhouse page is about me. It's not about my kids. It's not about Shane. It's not about Larry. It's about how I'm feeling, whether it's right or wrong. If I talk to you about how I feel or what's going on, that doesn't mean that I'm right. My feelings are valid, just like your feelings are valid. It's how you feel. But at the end of the day, we have to figure out what to do with those feelings. So as I begin to talk on Sneeze Farmhouse Sanctuary, this is my safe place. Now, I realize my safe place is with almost 100,000 people. It is. And, but this is, my goal is not to talk about someone, but I'm trying to explain to you guys what exactly I'm going through, because at the end of the day, I'm having to figure out how to dance. I'm having to figure out what shoes to put on to get out of the mess that I'm in, because at the end of the day, I'm the one jacked up. It's me. I'm telling you my faults. You hear the story. I present the story about what happened in my own version of what happened. And I tell you what I do with it because I am a train wreck. So I want you to know that I decided in my heart that this page is about me. This page is about me. And this page is about how I deal with things. And it's just my opinion. It doesn't mean that I'm right. It is literally just my opinion about how I deal with things. So this is what I have to do for myself. So, first of all, realize that um, let's see. I have tried to get to acceptance with Larry. Larry has lived with me for 7 years. So, for 7 years, I've tried to get to acceptance, and I can't do it. I have not been able to accomplish getting to acceptance. I have, for the past 7 years, I have been running him because, okay, let me back up. So, 7 years ago, the reason he moved in with me is because he was having, wait, first of all, prior to him moving in with me, he was coming to my house like 2 weeks at a time when I was married before. And I mean, I could tell some things were off, but I didn't grow up with him. So I don't know what's normal and what's not normal because it's not my dad. Like I wasn't raised by him. He did not marry my mother until I was out of high school, and I didn't live at home with them. From the time I graduated, I've never lived at home since the day I graduated. I'm just yeah, I was one of those kids that couldn't wait to get out of the house. So I first went to Chattanooga and lived with my aunt and worked there, and then I ended up coming home, and then I got my own apartment, and then I got married. So I've never lived at home with my mom and Larry. So there's a lot of things I don't understand because I don't really know him. I don't know how he is at home. So, and I am going to talk about Mother's Day. I'm kind of getting on a tangent, but so when he moved in with me, he was having trouble. I'm just going to say it. He was having chronic diarrhea where he couldn't hold it. And he ended up in the hospital for 2 weeks because his sodium, his potassium, his magnesium, and everything was bottomed out. And they couldn't figure out what was going on because his numbers, his electrolytes were bottomed out because he was having chronic diarrhea. And they put him in the hospital to try to figure out what was wrong with him. Well, to make a long story short, Larry was abusing Miralax, but not on purpose. When my son and I lived in the apartment, Larry had this terrible attack, and he was living on my sofa in the apartment because he was sick. And to make a long story short, he had diverticulitis and had to have part of his colon removed. Well, after surgery, the doctor told him to take Miralax to keep his stool soft while he was healing from colon surgery. Well, after his surgery, he went home. Then I ended up getting married, going to Stapleton. Well, I didn't know what he was doing. I didn't live with him. Well, he took what the doctor said about keeping his stool soft. He thought that meant for the rest of his life. So Larry was taking Miralax multiple times a day to keep his stool soft. Well, he was having accidents because he was taking the Miralax. And then it depleted his system. And then he's in the hospital for 2 weeks with all his electrolytes out. And I didn't realize what was happening until he moved in with me. And I was like, why is he having accidents? And I noticed he was taking Miralax every day. And I was like, why are you doing this? Oh, the doctor said I needed to keep I said, that was like 6 years ago. Like, they didn't mean for the rest of your life. And so I realized then something was not right. So the doctor said that he did not need to live by himself. So therefore, Shane and I had just gotten married, and Larry was moving in with us. So for the past 7 years, I have noticed some things were not right, but I didn't know what was him and what was not right. I just knew something wasn't right, and there was things that were off. So for the past 7 years, I have been sitting here putting my makeup up. I have been trying to fix him, because when he moved in with me, the doctor put him on, because he had been in the hospital for 2 weeks. The doctor put him on home health, and I began to see this behavior that I didn't understand. A lot of like when the home health nurses would come, like when he'd know they'd come, he would pace the floor and he would have anxiety about the home health coming. And I was like, what is this about? It's just home health. They're literally doing nothing. And I had to learn his behavior and learn what was going on and learn what was not right and what was right. Like, I had to learn his personality and learn all of the little living traits that he had. And because he was raised totally different from me. So I've had to pretty much kind of understand and figure out what's going on with him. Now, back when he was young, they didn't go to the doctor. I don't know if that was just his family, but they didn't go to the doctor. When Larry moved in with me, he was in he's 75 now. So he was like 68. He had never been to the eye doctor. Like, just like weird things, like, I'm like, your mom didn't take you to the eye doctor? Like, you didn't have an eye exam in school, like, so I, for the past 7 years, have been taking him around to figure out what is wrong. So I have stressed him out because he's never had a colonoscopy. He had never had a stress test. He had never been to the eye doctor. He had never been to have his hearing checked. Like, he had never done any of that. So here I am, and I'm trying to go up. Part of being healthy is having an exam, like a wellness visit. Like, we need to go get you checked out. And as we started getting him checked out, it was problem after problem after problem. I mean, it was just like, he had glaucoma, he had high blood pressure, he had high cholesterol, he had dementia, he he had kidney problems with his kidneys. And so it began to, every time we went to the doctor, it began to stress him out because he was constantly finding out all these things that were wrong with him. And so he didn't like it. So, needless to say, as his stepdaughter, I'm going to take care of him. Like, I'm going to make sure we have all these, routine testing done to make sure his heart's in good condition. And, if all those things. I'm driving him crazy. I am driving him. For 7 years, I have drove him crazy, dragging him to the doctor to try to give him a quality of life and help make him healthy. I'm an aerobic instructor for 28 years. So what am I going to preach? I'm going to preach proper nutrition and the reason we drink water and the food groups and how to be balanced and how to exercise. Like we need to exercise. That's part of it. Like I'm driving him crazy for the past 7 years trying to fix him, like because when he came to live with me, his breathing was so horrible. I was like, what is wrong with your breathing? And nothing. What's wrong with my breathing? Nothing. And I took him to the doctor. I'm like, this joker can't breathe. And they were like, he didn't tell you he has COPD. And I'm like, why didn't you tell me you had COPD? And it's like, it's just been like one thing after another for the past 7 years. And Larry is bucking me. I don't want to go to the doctor. I don't want to have a stress test. I don't want to go to the eye doctor. I don't want to exercise. I don't want to drink. And I have been this drill sergeant. But we got to do this. This is what, making sure you're hydrated is what keeps you healthy and keeps your blood. I'm driving him crazy. And I'm driving myself crazy. And I'm driving Shane crazy because I'm constantly on his case. Because I sit here and I watch him not be able to breathe. And I watch him, the nurses say, you've got to wear oxygen full time. And he's bucking the system going, there's nothing wrong with my breathing. And I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? There's nothing wrong with your breathing. Like you can't do anything. All you do is sit. And in his head, he's like, I'm fine. I'm good. He is satisfied if he can get up, sit on the couch, sit outside, and go out to eat. That is his quality of life. And he is perfectly happy with that. And I'm like, you have no quality of life. All you do is sit. You can't even walk out to the chicken coop with me without gasping for breath. And I'm sitting here driving myself crazy, driving Shane crazy. I'm probably driving Kayla crazy because I am crying. I can't get to acceptance. I can't accept that. And recently, I told you guys twice he has almost passed out on me in the middle of a restaurant. Like I'm talking fall back, turn ghost white, and I'm sitting there standing in the middle of Subway, or I'm standing in the middle of Whataburger by myself with him. All these strangers are trying to help me, and I'm like, something's not right. And the nurses are like, this is oxygen. And so he still doesn't want to wear oxygen, and I'm trying to force him to do something that he doesn't want to do. I'm trying to reason with him. I'm like going, okay, do you understand that when your oxygen goes here, you can have brain damage? You're going to die. Like I'm trying all these different techniques to try to explain to him what is happening. And that he has no quality of life. But in his brain, he has no quality of life if he has oxygen in his nose. That is no quality of life to him. I have not been able to accept it. So yesterday, well, let me back up. So this past week, Tuesday, I went outside and talked to the nurse. I said, listen to me. He is so depressed wearing this oxygen. He's mad. He's upset. It is the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life is to watch him be miserable on oxygen. It makes no sense to me and the nurse because we're like, dude, you can't breathe without the oxygen. But I'm sitting here watching him literally cry and be upset for wearing oxygen. I don't know why that's so important, like to not wear it. but he feels tied to a tube. And where it doesn't make sense to me, he's like, I have no quality of life with this oxygen on. I'm like, dude, you have no quality of life without the oxygen on. But in his mind, he is content if he sits on the couch and plays on his phone or sits outside or is able to get in the car and go out to eat. That's all he cares about. That's all he cares about. That makes absolutely no sense to me. And I have not been able to get to acceptance with that. It drives me insane. So the nurse told him Tuesday, because I told her, I said, I can't, I cannot bear to sit here and watch him be so depressed because he's on oxygen. Just take it off of him. Just take it off of him. And it's like I'm slowly starting to get to acceptance. It only took me 7 years. You see how I'm a train wreck? It's taken me 7 years to get to acceptance with that. But I told her, I said, I'm not going to watch him be miserable in the last days of his life on oxygen. He doesn't want to do it. So she told him Tuesday that he could take his oxygen off. And he listened. He was smiling ear to ear and so happy that she said that. Makes no sense to me. Makes no sense to the nurse, but it makes sense to Larry. So the nurse said, we're going to keep you off because Larry has decided that the reason he's almost passing out is because he was on this medicine for his cancer to help with his urine. And he looked up the side effects, and that's what was causing him to pass out. And me and the nurse were looking at each other going, wow, he's got this figured out. But part of getting to acceptance is no matter how many times you try to explain to him that it's his oxygen, he's not accepting that it's his oxygen. He thinks it's the medicine. So the nurse said, I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. Let's get you off oxygen. And maybe you're right. Maybe it is the medicine causing you to be dizzy, because that is a side effect. So what we're going to do is we're going to take you off the oxygen. We're going to take you off the medicine, but I do not want you to go outside because I don't want you to fall and I don't want you to pass out. So you're going to stay inside till Friday and we'll see if it's your medicine. Well, y'all, he's so happy. He's walking around with his chest bowed out, his chin up. He's like, he's a different man. He's healed now. It was the medicine, and there's nothing wrong with him. Like, he's fixing to get his strength back. And I'm over here on the sidelines going, okay. Okay. But to see him smile, to see him be so happy, and it doesn't make sense to me. It's almost like it's getting me to acceptance. Going, this makes no sense to me. This makes absolutely no sense to me. But I'm getting there. So yesterday I said to him, I said, listen, your nurse is coming here Friday, and I don't know what to tell her about you being dizzy because I haven't seen you get off the couch. I mean, you're literally sitting all day long. So I can't tell if you're off balance really, because all you do is walk to the bathroom. So it's hard for me to see what's going on. So I said, hey, let's do this so that I'm able to talk to the nurse about what's going on with you. I said, let's get the rollinator, your walker, and let's walk around the house for 1 minute and check your oxygen. So yesterday, he gets his little walker and he walks around the house for 1 minute. And I have his oxygen meter on. When he started, he was in the 90s. In 1 minute, from being inside in the air conditioning, walking 1 minute, his oxygen dropped to 74. And I look at him and I'm like, do you see this? And he's gasping for breath. And I have to get him to the couch to sit down. And he is convinced that his oxygen meter is not correct. So then I took the oxygen meter off him that read at 74 and I put it on my finger and it was 98. So I put the oxygen back on him and it was in the 70s. But in his head, the oxygen, there's no way that's right. And I'm watching him gasp for breath. And I'm like, do you feel yourself breathing heavy? He can't get to acceptance that his oxygen is dropping. I can't get to acceptance that he doesn't want to wear his oxygen. Do you see when there's two people in the house and one can't get to acceptance that he can't breathe and one can't get to acceptance that he doesn't want to wear the oxygen, it's like there is an explosion in my house. There is argument in my house. There's no peace in my house when neither one of us can get to acceptance. It's not good. And it hasn't been good. So so then I said, well, let's do this so that I can tell the nurse. Let's put your oxygen on. Let's walk around the house for 1 minute and let's see what happens to your oxygen. Well, I am having a hard time getting the oxygen meter to read his oxygen sometimes. It just spins. But when I put it on my finger, it reads it right off the bat. And I had him, because sometimes if your hand is cold, it can cause that. So I had him go into the kitchen and run his hands over warm water to warm his hands up. We were still having a hard time getting it to read his eye. And I'm like, what causes this? Like, why is it reading mine like that and it won't read his oxygen? So what do you do when you can't figure out something? You go to Google, right? So I was Googling why is the oxygen meter not reading his oxygen? And it talked about poor circulation. Like when your hands are warm, it talked about your hands could be dirty, your hands could be cold, or it could be poor circulation. Well, I made him wash his hands. I ran it over warm water and it still, I could barely get it to read. So when I put the oxygen on and made him walk for 1 minute, I couldn't get the meter to read his oxygen. But in 1 minute, y'all, he was breathing like with the oxygen on. He wasn't gasping for breath at all. And I said, hey, do you feel yourself not gasping for breath? And he said, I can't tell a difference. And I'm like, so I had videoed everything for the nurse. So I videoed him standing still, oxygen in his 90s. I videoed him walking for 1 minute and then his oxygen dropping into the 70s. Then I videoed him walking for a minute with oxygen and what his breath was like. And y'all, it was like perfect. He was breathing perfect. He wasn't gasping for breath. And I'm over there going, you see? Like, you see? Look what your breath is like without oxygen. And look what your breath is like with oh my gosh, you can walk for 1 minute without gasping for breath. This is fantastic. And he's over here going, I can't tell a difference. And I'm going, And I was like, he is not wanting to wear this oxygen. And he is telling the nurse and myself that the oxygen makes no difference in him. Okay, let's talk. When there's two people that live in a house and neither one of us can get to acceptance, there is tragedy in this house. I'm miserable, he's miserable. One of us have to get to acceptance. One of us have to admit there's a problem and my life is going to change and I have to wear oxygen the rest of my life in order to live. Or this person that's trying to force him to wear oxygen is going to have to get to acceptance because it ain't working. I'm making him absolutely miserable. And for me, when I saw him take off the oxygen and have a smile on his face, I was like, Judy, you're going to have to stop. You're going to have to get to acceptance. And for so many years, I couldn't accept it. I'm like, I love him with all my heart. He is my stepdad, but he is so good to me. He is the most kindest man you will ever meet in your life. He is such a good husband to my mother. You know, not very many men would stand beside a wife that was totally bedridden, on a catheter, on a feeding tube in the bed. My mother cost a lot of money. And that man stood by my mom for 11 years with her being completely bedridden. Larry used to get phone calls from from home while he was at work. Your wife has hit her mother and broke her glasses. Your wife has bit the caregiver. Your wife has ran the caregiver off because my mom was mean. So Larry would be at work trying to work a full-time job to make ends meet, and he would get phone calls, or he would come home from work to find out that the caregiver, my mom drew blood on the caregiver because she bit the caregiver, or she hit the caregiver, or she hit my grandmother, her mother. Like, can you imagine? Larry is the most kindest man you will ever meet in your life. And he loves me and my two brothers. He has never treated us like kids. I'm his daughter. He doesn't say I'm his stepdaughter. He tells everyone that's my daughter. And I am getting to acceptance. And I'm so glad. But y'all, it's taken me 7 years to get to acceptance. But it's not the life I would want to live. But you know, sometimes when, you know, even if it's not your parent, if it's your spouse, and neither one of you can get to acceptance about something, and you're fighting and you're fighting and you're fighting, and you're like, I hate him. I hate her. She is she won't let it go. One of you have to get to acceptance. And it can take a long time to get to acceptance. But once you get to acceptance, and I'm not completely there. I am not completely to acceptance. I'm not. But I'm getting there. I'm getting there. And I have felt so many different emotions. I have felt mad at him. I'm like, he's just giving up. He's just giving up. He's lazy. I mean, I've been mad. I have been so mad at him. But I've realized that it's not my life. It's his life. It's not how I would want to live my life, sitting on the couch all day. That does not sound appealing to me at all. But see, he probably looks at me and goes, I wouldn't want her life. All she does is work 12 hours a day, sweating her butt off. Like, my life probably doesn't look all great either. But I'm getting there. I've come a long way. And the nurse will be here today. And I'm sure when she finds out that his oxygen... Oh, let me back up for just a minute. So when I was Googling about his oxygen meter not working, it talked about, and I'm not a medical person, so I don't know. It's a word that starts with T, and it's where when your oxygen gets to a certain level, like in the 70s, like I said, it went to 70 in 1 minute being in the air conditioning. So can you imagine what happens when he goes into the heat of being outside and walks to my chicken coop? We're probably in the 60s or 50s. So it's this word that starts with T, and it's something that you get when your oxygen drops low like that, and it causes death. I mean, it causes death. And it causes poor circulation, which is the reason why we're having a hard time getting the oxygen meter to read his oxygen, because I believe that he has whatever that is. Now, I ain't a nurse. I've pretty much diagnosed him like I know what I'm talking about. But I am going to talk to the nurse today when she comes to ask her if this is possible. But that T word causes death. And oxygen being in the 70s, the low 70s, it was 74. It's a death sentence. And for me to get to acceptance that my dad is going to die and this is preventable, like all he has to do is wear oxygen and he might live another 10 years. But instead, he chooses not to wear oxygen and he's going to die. That is hard to get to acceptance. You're mad. Just scared to tell you right now, as a kid of the parent you're taking care of, you're mad as heck. So I just wanted to let you know that I'm getting to acceptance, and I feel better. I feel better that I'm finally getting there. And I'm getting there. All right, let's talk about Mother's Day. I have a field trip today, by the way, and the nurse is coming. So the nurse might be here in the middle of the field trip. So Kayla, listen, sometimes y'all want to give to me. Give to Kayla. Give to Kayla. Kayla is the bomb.com. If it wasn't for Kayla, like I told her yesterday, I said, hey, the nurse may come in the middle of the field trip and I have to go inside to the nurse. And Kayla's like, I got this. I got this. She's a good girl. Anyway, Mother's Day. When I think of Mother's Day and I think about all the women out there, because it's, for women. I think about all the women that have, tried to have a child their whole life and wasn't successful. And I'm sure Mother's Day is hard. I think about the mothers that have had miscarriages and lost their babies. And I've never been through that. And I think about, do they think about that on Mother's Day? I think about the people that chose not to have kids and they feel like maybe they let their parents down because they've never been a grandmother. And it's depressing maybe for the holiday to come up, Mother's Day to come up, because they're like, well, I never had children. I was such a disappointment to my family, because the norm was to have children, right? I think about the mothers that maybe their kids are not speaking to them. Maybe their kid's sick and their kids didn't talk to them. I think about those mothers. I think about the mothers that there's nothing wrong. The kids are going to come and spend Mother's Day with them and take them out to eat and bring mom a special gift and celebrate. I think about those mothers. I think about, think about the kids that feel pressure because it's Mother's Day and they maybe don't have the money to buy their mother a gift. I think about that at Mother's Day. I think about, because I can remember my parents were divorced and they fought like crazy. My parents did not get along at all. And I think about, my dad never said, come on, let's go shopping and get your mom a Mother's Day gift. I remember me and my brothers, it would be Mother's Day and we're kids, right? We have no money. And I can remember going, we don't have mom a gift. What are we going to do? And I remember being so just feeling bad because I didn't have a present to give my mom because my mom was single and I didn't have any money because I was a kid. I think about those people at Mother's Day. I think about the parents that have lost a child. I have a friend that is a petting zoo that I look up to her, and she lost her child to suicide. And that's why she started her petting zoo. He was in addiction and couldn't fight addiction. And so he gave up and he hung himself on her property. And she turned around and made good out of it. And she has a big cross where he hung himself. And she has grief therapy at her farm for grieving parents. And I think about people like that. Holidays are hard because you never know what a woman at Mother's Day is going through. And everything that I just mentioned is what a woman goes through on Sunday. And also, I think about being the daughter and my mom's not here anymore. And you see here and you're like, my mom's been gone since 2008. I've spent many of Mother's Days without my mom. And it's all of us women that are here are going to experience something on Sunday as it approaches, whether you are a mother or you have a mother or a grandmother that's very important to you. It could be very emotional to have a Mother's Day and spend it alone, or coulda, shoulda, woulda. You sit there and think that in your head. I never had kids. I should have been more, I don't know, whatever. I should have tried harder. I should have went and got some help from the doctor so I could have whatever the case is. There's a lot of emotions that come along with holidays. I personally hate holidays. And I hate holidays because I don't have a I don't have much of a family. Majority of my family have passed on. And so I find myself being depressed during the holidays because sometimes you feel like, as a mother, that let's say that you have children, and you know I'm 53. My children have full-time jobs. My son, one of my sons, lives over an hour away from me, and he has to work Mother's Day. And my other son is just bought a house. He's trying to get his life started. They just bought a car and they're trying to fix up their property and they're trying to put up a fence. So he doesn't have, a lot of money. And I told both of my children, I said, I do not want a Mother's Day present. You know what I mean? Like, that's not who I am. I don't need a present. That is not. I'm a very happy mother. Both of my children are doing well. And I'm like, what makes my Mother's Day is to know that you're okay. Like, knowing that you're both living on your own. You both are being sick. My youngest son is in graduate school, working towards his education. He's got straight A's. Like, that's my Mother's Day gift from you, that you're in school, getting your graduate, and you have straight A's and you're living on your own and you're working. That is the best Mother's Day present you could ever give me. And if you're a mother, you know what I'm saying. Moms just want to know that their children are happy and healthy. If you are a child watching me and you don't have a lot of money, I promise you, just getting on the phone or coming in person and telling your parents what a great life you have, that's the best. That's like you just gave us 10 dozen roses. Us knowing that our kids are okay, that's all we need. I promise you. Now, as a mother, we do like our children to be in the same room and getting along. We do. Like, if our children are here and we're sitting at the table eating dinner, it reminds us of what it was like growing up with everyone around the table. And when your kids grow up and they move out and it's hard to get everyone in the same room, or I don't know, maybe the siblings are fighting, like, that tears us to pieces. If your kids are fighting, oh my gosh, you're going to ruin our Mother's Day. We want to know that our kids are getting along, our kids are doing fine. And that is, again, ask every woman here. Every woman here, you just want to know that your kids are happy and healthy. That's all. You don't want a gift. I mean, you would love to have them all in the same room, but you're not searching for a gift. The best gift you can give your mom is to go, "Hey mom, guess what? I got straight A's this semester. I just finished my last year, my first year of graduate school, mom. I got straight A's." And you're like, "That's what I'm talking about." That's what I'm talking about. Mom, I'm paying my rent. I'm working hard. Like, life is good. I just got this I just landed this part in a play. It's the lead role of the play, mom. All my hard work is paying off. That's the best mother's present you could give me, is to know that my kids, you don't even have to show up at my house. If you just call me on the phone and tell me that work is great, money is good, you've got money in savings, you're working towards this, that's all we need. We're pretty simple. As a mother, we're pretty simple. We don't need flowers and presents and jewelry or whatever. We don't need any of that. We just need to be told, I'm good. Like I'm good. That's all we need. Or that's all I need. Am I wrong, moms? Are you guys like that too? I mean, I feel like all moms are the same, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Um, for the moms that beat themselves up, for the moms that beat themselves up, um, you know, we do the very best when we're young. I mean, most of us have our kids in our 20s, and in our 20s, we're a total train wreck. Come on. Like, we would be much better parents probably if we had kids in our 50s, but we're too tired, right? Like, there's no way we can run around and take care of a 2-year-old in your 50s. Like, there's no way I could do it. But when you're in your 20s, you're trying to figure out life and you have a kid on top of that. And then you got, you know, daycare you're trying to pay for and Pampers and, you know, doctor copays, and you're trying to work and you're just trying to figure out life. And every 20-year-old is a train wreck. And then we have kids on top of that. So like, if you're that parent that beats yourself up, like, I should have done better. My kid's a train wreck and it's my fault. You know, I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have. Just know that we all do our very best. And sometimes our best isn't good enough because we're such train wrecks that our best, you know, your kids are like, well, mom, you remember when you did this? And you're like, oh yeah, you know, look, wait till you have kids and you're in your 20s trying to figure out life and you got a kid on your side at the same time. We have done so much in our life, and do not beat yourself up. Do not beat yourself up. If you're like the mother that's depressed because your kid did this and you think it's your fault, just know, listen, us moms, hang on. We did the very best we can do. And you look back and you're like, it's a good thing my kids turned out the way they were, because, you know, in my 20s, I don't know what you did, you know, were you dancing on the bars at 20, or you, like, I don't know, what were you doing? You know, we if we sat here as women and we compared stories about what we did in our 20s when we had children, we would be like, it's a wonder they're alive. Like, oh my God, you know, but be gentle on yourself for Mother's Day and just laugh. Laugh. I mean, go. Hang on. Just laugh. Share those funny stories with your kids, because, you know, your kids are in their 20s with kids right now probably, or your kids are maybe are past their 20s and they're in their 30s or 40s and they got teenagers, and you're like, oh, I remember when you were a teenager and I was trying to pay insurance and trying to work, and you were defiant and you were out acting a fool and, you know, all this stuff. whatever stage you're in as a mother, because there's all different stages. There's a stage of, you know, baby, and then toddler, and then adolescent, and then teenage years, and then grown kids. Like, you're gonna make it. We all have. You're gonna make it through it. And I hope that this Mother's Day, if you are a mother, now listen, I need to say this too. I am a mother of animals. Okay. I have a gazillion animals, right? And I'm going to tell you that if you're a mother and you've never had children and you have animals, you are a mother. Because I'm going to tell you, I have to do the same things with my animals as I did with my children. I have to give them vaccinations. I have to call the doctor. I have to feed them every day. I have to bathe them. Like everything that I do with my animals, I have done with my children. I have to teach, just like Taterbug and Mickey are a train wreck right now, and I'm having to discipline. I feel like I have a bunch of teenagers that are running around with their acting just crazy. I'm having to discipline. So if you are a mother of animals, it is a celebration for you too. So if you're the mother that has never had children and you have a dog or a cat or a bird or whatever, you're a mother. It is Mother's Day for you too. It's a Mother's Day for you too. Because I'm telling you, I have been a mother of a human being and I've been a mother of the animals, and they are almost equal. Just to let you know. They're almost equal. I'm going to tell you something. When you have a pet, that is your child. If someone hurts your baby, you're going to battle. If something's sick, you're taking that baby to the doctor. So just know in your head that if you're the mother that has never had children but have a pet, you are a mother. I promise you. So know that. You're special. You're special. So don't shortchange yourself and go, well, I'm not a mother. The heck you ain't. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Those animals need you. You take care of them every single day. I think for the people that have a child that's not speaking to them, or have a child that's sick, that has decided that they no longer, you're not important to them or whatever, I'm going to tell you something. That is a phase. And if you're a mother that is going to go without speaking to your child for Mother's Day, just know there's a bunch of women out here that's going to spend Mother's Day alone, even though they have children. And you're not alone. But just know that you need to take care of yourself. I don't know what that looks like for you. You need to go do something for yourself. And you need to celebrate Mother's Day with yourself. I don't know if it's go have a picnic in the park, go to a waterfall, go out to eat, go buy some flowers to plant in your yard. Listen, don't sit at home and cry. Don't sit it out. Don't. I want you to pick yourself up and go do something for yourself. Don't be sad. It is sad. And it's okay to say you're sad. It's okay. I've been there. I have been where my kids were not speaking to me. I have been there. I have. And you know how I tell you that you can't depend on other people for your happiness? It's the same thing. Sorry, my sinuses are driving me crazy. It's the same thing with Mother's Day. You have choices. You can sit around and cry and be upset that your children are not talking to you, or that your child's passed away, or you can drown yourself in sorrow. And I think sometimes you need to allow yourself to feel that. I don't think there's anything wrong with feeling the emotion of a lost child or your child not speaking to you. I think you need to allow yourself grief, but I think you need to set a timer. And what I mean is, I've said this before. Siri, set a timer for 10 minutes. She's setting it. She's not talking because my my battery's almost dead in my watch. I think you need to set a timer. Allow yourself, wake up that morning, go, today sucks. My kid's not here. It sucks. It pretty much sucks. Allow yourself to grieve, but don't do it all day. That's sitting it out. Crying and being upset is not sitting it out. That is allowing yourself to have an emotion. But when you get caught up in the emotion and you can't get out of it, that is sitting it out. Dancing is setting the timer and go, I need to go outside by myself for an hour. And I need to bawl my eyes out because the pain of my child not talking to me is overwhelming to me. I freaking birthed this kid, raised this kid. But set the timer and go get distracted. Distraction is, I don't know what that looks like for you. Go to a petting zoo, go to a waterfall, go to a park, go take your dog to a Tractor Supply. They have that little grooming section or pet supply, whatever it is, where you can go groom your animal by yourself. Go do that. Go do something. Go do something for yourself. Go buy yourself a new shirt. I don't know. Go get your hair done. Go get some new lipstick. Whatever it takes for you to take care of yourself. Because at the end of the day, the only person you can control is yourself. And it sucks when your child is not here. It sucks. It does. But we get ourselves in trouble when we stay in grief. Having grief, there's nothing wrong with it. But when you stay in it is when you find yourself in big trouble. Big trouble. I hope that this Mother's Day that you find happiness and contentment, no matter what your situation is. I hope that you don't wait for other people to celebrate it, but celebrate it yourself. Call another mom and tell them what a good job they've done. Go make a difference in someone else's life, but also make a difference in your own. All right, guys, I got a field trip to do. Today is Friday. Today you have choices. You can sit it out or you can dance. And today I hope you dance. I hope you choose to put those dancing shoes on, no matter what the dancing shoes look like. And I'm your operator. You can call me anytime. I'm your connection to the party line. I will see you this weekend. Bye.